Hello, so I'm doing some readings, some mini readings again. You can post your chart on the units, post your chart, and I will get to it when I can. So here we have a very unusual profile. It's a reflector, 1% of the population. It's a 3-6, which is only 2.5% of the population. So the combination 3-6 plus reflector, it's very, very few. It's not even 0.5%. It's much less than that of the population. A reflector has all the centers white. Nothing is defined. They're just hanging gates that are not meeting a gate on the other side. So that's why no centers are colored in. It's also really special in this chart that we have 3 completely open centers, because usually when we place 26 gates, they're kind of going to be all over the place in the center. So having 3 completely opens is special. We say that these people are lunar beings, which means that what makes the definition is that the moon is going to change, every day. The line changes every 76 minutes. So we come into a new gate every day. And that's where the definition is going to come. So let's say here, the moon is going to maybe be in the 21, then the 45, the 21 is going to form a channel. And then that day, we have an ego manifester. And then another day, the moon is going to be in 49, and then suddenly we have a projector. And then one day, it's going to be in the 46, and then suddenly we have the definition of a generator. So that's what happens when the moon changes, and there's like a flavor that the person that is a reflector will have from the moon activation. And that is why we say the strategy is to wait the lunar cycle, because there is going to be, it's kind of, you have to go through all different kinds of definition before you can really be sure. It's a process. And then you could also say that if we have a group of 100 people and there's just one reflector, and these are the ones that can really see, that have the overview and like feel into what's going on, and to be able to reflect that back to the community. Because in a group of 100 people, we would have 20 projectors, we would have 70 generators or manifesting generators, we would have 8 manifestors. So it's really this just one reflector. And if you have a reflector child and you put them into an environment, they are going to really tell you if that's a healthier environment or not, because they're just going to reflect it back to you. And the beautiful thing with the reflectors are also that, they are really as happiest because they kind of see everything, they reflect everything back. So when they get surprised, that is their signature. They kind of, the disappointment is the lower frequency. So, and that's like they kind of have an openness, almost a naivety. How do you say that? Like they're a little bit naive sometimes. They really take in so much, and they hope kind of, I feel like they're the new kinds of beings, a little bit like we were sometimes say about the 4-6. And then of course it's easy to be disappointed. And it's also, yeah, I guess that's kind of how I would see it. And like I said, there's no inner authority. So it's really just like, it's taking in everything and filtering through. I would say that they are actually in one way more robust than the projectors, for example, because they have openness, but they also have definition. And then there is this kind of split, oh, am I working for my openness or for my definition? But here there's just so much openness. So it's a little bit of robustness in that. And also having a 3-6 profile, we have the kind of the trial and error, and they are here to be able to play with energy and experience. So with the 3 completely open centers, that's also what I would say at a certain level of awareness, we really start to use these centers to like make the world a better place. So here we have the emotional centers with it, which is about speaking your truth and not avoiding confrontation. So this can be a person that has really tried to avoid all kind of emotional turmoil in their environment, and maybe become like, overly nice or accommodating, or not speaking the truth, or over promising, together with that ego center that has to do with like their worth. So just really try to make the world a better place, to not have to feel everything that's going on in other people and have to amplify it in their own being. And it can also be, proving themselves to be good enough with that open ego center, or kind of like not having any will, kind of losing your own willpower. And then the open G is like looking outside yourself for love, direction, and even who you are. So these are all areas where you can become like a role model. You are a 3-6, you can really become a role model, Christina, in these centers, because it's something that you have had to live through. But then when you have lived through so many times, it's like you know it so well, and then you can stop doing it, and you can reflect back to others when they are, you know, running just like a little hamster in a wheel to try to prove themselves, or when they're like kind of hooking into somebody else to know where they're going or who they are. And how they are like really tying love to specific people around them, and not just, you know, the universal love. And then this emotional thing that like really trying to fix the world and other people's emotions just to not have to feel them. These are all things that you can really become very wise about and help reflecting back in humanity. Then we can see that you have a lot of activations in your splenic center. They're both black and red, so both the soul activations and the personality activations. So there are kind of fears that can fire, or there's an instinctiveness in you. It's just so important for you to find your purpose and the right allies in your life. That's just super important with those double activations. And then you have a lot of activations in your throat center. So for me, you could be an artist, you could be like, there's something with the creative expression that's just extremely important for you, what I can see. And also you have, I mean, your conscious moon is that drive to kind of take risks and to express, and that kind of Scorpio energy. You also have it in Uranus. So you have like the moon and Uranus are both that 28. And it's really the risk taker. You're here to be the 3-6 that plays with energy and that takes risks, and that, you know, that is game player, I would say. You also have something that's very special, I would say. If we look at your life, if you look at your personality sun or your design sun and earth, you also have the same in the nodes on both sides. So it's like, it's kind of this trinity, like here you have the same two programming partners, here you have the same two, here you have the same two. That kind of could go from some kind of pattern that is not good for you, some kind of addiction that is not good for you, to you kind of finding the inner silence, so you don't have to be super, you know, in kind of going in rounds on the outside. And then you're really here to find your soul family. You're really here to find others that you can co-create with. That's part of your life journey. And it's really important to nurture your dream, to be with people that nurture your vision of, you know, it's possible. And then you can kind of ground when your cells feel calm, because you could have a kind of agitation in your cells from not finding this silence, and also from not finding the right people. But that's really what we want you to do, to be grounded in your like cellular vibration somehow, and then you can radiate that to others. You can even radiate like a kind of silence to others, but that only happens when you are nurtured. And basically you're really here, your Pluto on both sides is the 18, so you're here to really walk in integrity and perfection, and it's acidic perfection. So it's not like what we kind of think of human perspective perfection. It's like really the higher octave of integrity, and you're here to unveil that in the you know, collective unconscious, that's Pluto, and transform part of the judgment that is there to more openness. And that's, of course, when you have all this openness, that is very interesting that you have the 18 that really says the same thing. And I mean, I would love to hear from you about that 24, because you have 24 in your design sun, you have it in your south nodes on both sides, and you have it in your Jupiter. There is just so much 24, and let's see how it looks when we look in your in the other, in your, let's see, here we have it in the gene keys. So then we have it in the culture, and we don't see the nodes here, but we do see the design sun. So then yeah, very interesting. And here you see what I was saying, addiction, invention, and silence. So let's see, you're a 3-5, you're here to play with energy and experience, and your challenge is to really be yourself, even when you don't get approval or attention. Breaking out of the need for approval or attention by following your inner fire and living without an agenda. That is your greatest challenge. And then you can ground in your vision of like what's possible and be nurtured with the right people in that. And that's how you find your core stability. And what could go wrong, in this is that you would live with somebody else's rules, or you would adapt to something that is not good for you, and then you would forget why you're here. You would become either super sensitive or codependent, and then you wouldn't nurture yourself properly. You wouldn't be able to have the people that would also have the same vision as you, and you wouldn't be stable, and then all your cells would be unhappy, and you wouldn't find the right people. Like I said, the soul fractal, there wouldn't be any teamwork, and then suddenly in your relationships there would be a lot of maybe dominance, maybe power struggles, maybe like not really love, but more just lust, and kind of a tribal energy, but not a positive tribal energy. And then you could probably go up into your head and try to figure things out from your head, and also deny the true problem, like kind of just trying to figure it out, and maybe being that open but closing down some way, so that you don't have to feel anything, so you can even kind of deny that it's there. And then you would bypass your whole possibility to be here, to be a change maker, to be somebody who's here that is the opposite, because you're here to be a changer. You're here to make people remember why they come to this earth. You're here to make them remember that we can speak with nature, and we can whisper with horses, and we can understand even the animals. This is how much sensitivity we have. We're here to play. We're here to have experiences. And then suddenly you start to find like-minded people, and there's so much invention instead of addiction, and the nurturing is there instead of the addiction or the patterns that aren't good for you. You feel stable, and with these people that are on your fractal, you suddenly create synergy and communion in everything you do, and there's so much passion in the way that you interact. And then everything becomes like really clear and precise for you, and you use the other human being to be your mirror, to learn more about yourself. So instead of denying that there ever was a problem, you really become somebody who uses relationships to mirror yourself, so that each people in the relationship can learn more about themselves. And then what can come through is a completely new language that more has to do with light than with intellect. So it's really, really cool. I see also that you have like a lot of heart in your essence and in your SQ. This is like your spiritual genius, and this is your essence. So there is a lot that has to do with the heart, has to do with innocence, it has to do with forgiveness, because of course as a reflector there is so much disappointment many times, but it's really telling you to keep that child like playfulness of life in life, and to be your own style. That if we would look down at you from a cloud, you really have your own unique style, and that's what we want you to express through the heart. And I think I wouldn't go in so much. I mean, there is a little bit of everything that you have in your childhood from 0 to 21. It's kind of transpersonal. So that goes together with you being a reflector, having those transpersonal lines of always kind of feeling the other and seeing the other and being impacted or influenced by the other when you grew up. And that can have been confusing for you. Can have been like you're even resigned that your essence is completely going to be understood in the world. And maybe you did have the community and the belonging and the kinship when you were a child. Maybe you didn't. Maybe there was some things that didn't make you feel like that, and then you want to go back and parent yourself and give that feeling of belonging and community to your inner child, so that it feels that it's safe now. And for you, again, this is both these can make you stay in your head and use your intellect to kind of cope with the world. And we don't want you to do that. We really want you to come into the middle, come into the heart, come into the cellular intelligence that you have. But that would be one of the shadows. If you would stay in your intellectual intelligence and not include your emotional intelligence, and your spiritual and your childish in a good way, and spiritual, physical, and playful intelligence. So you really want to have IQ, EQ, and also the spiritual and the physical component part of who you are. We are all physical emotional, mental, and spiritual. So that's what you want to reclaim, and you reclaim that by pampering your inner child, by starting to actually express your feelings and your emotions, instead of kind of checking out and think that it's not worth it. And then you can have this trinity of intelligence that is on all planes. So yeah, I think that's that's it. Of course, there's so much to look more at, and there's the star pearl coming out, but this is kind of the essence. Very, very cool profile, very challenging profile, and at the same time, once you kind of get it, there's so much potential. So let us do this one. Do we have both? Oops. Do we have? Oh yeah, here we only have a human design one. This is really cool. So here we have a Splenic Projector 5-2. Also a profile that isn't that common. It's like 2.5% as well of the profiles that are 5-2s. And let's see. Yeah, you're a Splenic Projector, and you are, let's see. And it's a cross of Clarion. Okay, so here we have quite a lot of definition, although you're a projector. We have 4 open centers and 5 defined centers. So kind of a power projector somehow, I would say. We have the similarity with the thing we just looked at. So partly these things about feeling a lot of things, taking in a lot of things what other people feel, turbulence, dishonor, weakness, conflict, victimization, reaction, and desire are things that you can feel out in the field with other people. So you might also have that risk of like trying to make things nice, or like withdraw. Withdraw could often be if you're a 2-4 or like a 5-2, like that hermit line, the second line can kind of withdraw instead of just try to make things nice. It can just more like check out and not want to be part of where there's emotional distortion. And the same thing with the open ego, trying to prove yourself somehow, and having this strong leadership theme that you have here with the 31, 31-7, for example, and you have the 43 about insight, and the 62 about precision. I could see, and also your projector, so you're here to have recognition. I can see why that could be the case, that you would just prove yourself by thinking you have to do a lot of things and accomplish a lot of things. And as a projector and somebody with an open will center, that's not really what you're here to do. You're not here to prove anything. You're here to get recognition for what you're naturally actually good at, So very beautiful here with 2 completely black, your personality has that direct connection from the spleen to the throat. And for me, that's just, it's a very powerful projector. And you're also, I guess that you are also aware of that power. So you have talent, you have the depth, but you're also very versatile, and you have the intuition, and the intuition is like something that you have all the time in every moment. It's just there, and it's just all the time telling you. And all this is on the black side. So all this is part of your personality. All this is part of your makeup. And then you can see that purpose is so important for you. It's just very important for you. It's your North Node, and you also have it in Mars. So what is that? It's the EQ. So even for your emotional stability or health, you would say that it's important for you to actually have purpose, and you're willing to take some risks. And emotionally, it can even be good to take some risks, because if you don't take risks, it's like you're not living fully. And there could be even a kind of self-sabotage for yourself if you don't take risks to fulfill your purpose. And yeah, I mean, we just looked at the profile that had a lot of definition in the throat, or a lot of activation in the throat, and you have a defined throat with at least as many gates in it. So there is this also the leadership that we have, the 31. Where do we have 31? Or it can actually, part of your stability in life comes from actually becoming that leader. And it's probably something that it's not happening. It could be there all the time with a 5-2 profile, because you have that leadership theme in you. But the 31 that you have on the design side could also, I think that your leadership style could shape shift in your life. You could have this, leadership authority all the time, but that 31 is going to kick in its kind of right costume or something a little later, I would say, somehow. So look at how leadership has shifted for you in your life, and when it was actually giving you, because even if you're a projector, I kind of want to use the word regenerating. When did your leadership nurture you, and when did it drain you? That's part of what I would like to ask. And then, it's also interesting to look here at the open centers, what happens in your sacral, because you are non-sacral being, you're a projector, but you have the 5 at least twice, and you have the 27 and the 59, and both these are like tribal. So you are easily tucking into people, and also, if somebody else has the 29, you're easily defined by other people, and you have this strong tribal, the 59, 6, that is like very much wants to just be in intimacy with others, and has like, sometimes in the low frequency, it's just like we say, it's the channel of mating. It just wants to be close to other human beings and share energy and share everything, actually, merging with the other. And then the 2750, that is about caring, and about that kind of, caring a bit more on another level, but it's also very oriented of like, the responsibility of caring somehow. And then the 5 and the 15 would also form a channel of rhythm. So then you can also be very in tune with all the natural rhythms and your own rhythm, which is good for you, because that's when you have the 5 twice, it is important for you to always respect the natural rhythms. What more would I like to say? When you also have this very strong, like the 61, 24, we had the 24 before, that can be patterns and kind of addiction things, just like not finding silence in your mind. And at the same time, with the 61, you have this, like, you can channel things, you can invent things, and you can be very inspired. And we just want you to make sure that, since you have a small split, that you always make sure that you're functioning from your intuition and your expression, and not only for what kind of you're thinking somehow. That all this has to be combined. And you could also see how, when you have a small split, usually kind of either you try to be these 3 gates, or you try to have a lot of ideas, or you try to, you try to be the 23, or you try to be the 17. So these are things to also look maybe for people in your life. Do they have gate 11, gate 23, or gate 17? And are you attracted to them because it's really a true attraction, or is it just because mechanically that's what would make you feel more fulfilled? And if we look at it, if we look at it in the kind of shadow frequency, it could be like, oh, I can't see enough yet, I don't have a big enough perspective, or I can't simplify it enough, or I can't come up with enough ideas that are good. Like, you kind of, that's the twisted not self somehow, that like shifts it around and makes it a problem when it's actually an opportunity. But to say, like, you can have a lot of insight, you can be really precise in what you do, and you're here to really experience life with all the senses. So this can be a distraction in a low frequency, but it's really here to be enrichment for you. Also, you're probably been feeling something lately, because you have the Earth in gate 61, and that's where Pluto and Saturn have been conjunct now, together actually with Mercury and the Sun, just in this last week. So your grounding can have been a little bit shaken, even for the last months, and kind of still going on. So that would also be interesting to hear how you have lived this transit that we have been in for a while. And as the same as with the other chart we looked at, also important for you to find the people that are here on the same soul fractal with similar purposes in life. And you're somebody who's going to have to live through some unease and agitation when you're going against your intuition, or going against what's really your true initiative, and you might stay in a situation, or might do something else. Then your body's going to tell you to trust your body when it tells you that something is off, and come back. But you also have that You also have that 43 that sometimes can be a bit deaf. So like really listen when your intuition says something. What more? Yeah, I guess that's kind of it. It's a very interesting profile again. And the mind and motivation. Yeah, no, I think that is the most, well, as a 5-1, there can be misunderstandings, there can be conflicts with other people, and you want to, since you have those strong leadership themes, you just want to make sure that you don't fall into arrogance and you don't fall into kind of, power where people think you're invulnerable. So so this is what we say, break out of misunderstandings or conflict by using your power as vulnerability. That's the one-liner for the 5th line personality, or the 5th line, sun and earth. So really, really contemplate your own leadership and how you can use it actually to find teamwork and synergy, to find your true tribe, your true, not even tribe, it's like even on a higher level, it's about souls that came here to do a similar work. That is going to come to you when you can use that power in a way that doesn't put off others, it doesn't feel arrogant, it doesn't feel dominant. So that's an important thing to actually be able to watch, I would say. And you're essential being, like you're really, there is something in your magnetism that is also essential. People are gonna like look at you in a way that you have something that not everybody have. That's the moon on this side. And there can be reactions, there is going to be, I would like to hear what you do, but there are going to be people that are reacting to you probably, and that's part of your life. And then you're going to see how you can more go into a leadership that isn't provocative, I would say, a leadership that is actually supporting and facilitating more. That's how it looks like. So I would love to hear from you, Christy, and I think that's it for today with the little mini readings. Thank you so much.